everybody, welcome to another episode of Ian Talks. I really got to figure out a way where I should be recording these videos the day before instead of the day it's supposed to come out, so I don't have to edit it and get it out as fast as possible. It's not anyone's fault but mine. It's clearly user error from a really dumb person who's not using his noggin, which is the thing that rests on his shoulders 3 feet above his ass. That would be referred to me. I'm that person. But anyway, welcome to another episode of Ian Talks. I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the love and support that the Invincible video did last week. Absolutely blew my mind about the amount of love and engagement and views that got, and it means a lot. And I hope that this episode can follow a similar path. But before all else, that I actually really loved about the Invincible video was that it felt like a positive, engaging conversation in the comments section, talking about their own opinions of the show and why they love it, why they think it will stick around, or what issues they may run into, instead of everybody just free-falling each other in the comments. And I hope that that's the continued path that I create with this channel and with these videos in this series that is Ian Talks. Forever Talking, I think, is just going to be a free-for-all regardless. But with Ian Talks, I'm hoping to create an engagement-full and positive environment where everybody can discuss their ideas and notions and opinions, text message and opinions about the show or whatever topic we're talking about for that episode. So again, I really appreciate the love and the positivity, and I hope that we can continue down that path. So to make sure that happens, leave a comment down below, like this video, and subscribe to the page if you can't. I also just wanted to do a little cheeky promote thing. My new song Faith came out last night, and I would really appreciate it if you guys can go down to the description box below, click on the link, and maybe give the song a listen. It's a little EDM pop song about giving faith that everything will work out, and just pulling yourself together and working through the struggles, because it will be okay eventually. And if you guys can give the song a chance, maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. But yeah, let me know what you think about it. Faith, description box down below. Anyway, today's episode of Ian Talks, which I announced last week in the Invincible video, what I was going to be talking about this week was my opinion of the show that did a really good job at reviving a classic, The Walking Dead, and the show that did that, in my opinion, was The Ones Who Live. I did a video 2 weeks ago about the introduction of a villain, Negan, that The Walking Dead did so incredibly well, but I didn't really talk about how much I really loved The Walking Dead whenever I made that video. But my feelings on The Walking Dead was that I watched season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 pretty diligently, falling off a little bit by the end of season 7, not watching completely season 8. I watched up into Carl's death, and then I was kind of spotty up until the end. Not really watching the beginning of season 9, coming back for Rick's final episode, and then kind of dipping off a lot after Rick left, because I didn't really feel like, you lose. I feel like the show lost so much with Carl's character and now Andrew Lincoln leaving the show, that it didn't feel, like there was a lot to build towards, and then you had a bunch of side characters, leading the show, and Negan became a main character, which was impossible to me because, like I described, I felt like Negan was an unredeemable character, and they did a pretty good job at redeeming him in some aspects, but to me, he could never be the main protagonist, which is what they tried to make him, and that's just not for me. However, The Walking Dead, with piecing out Andrew Lincoln, I thought that episode was handled very well, even though in the grand scheme of things, it didn't make a ton of sense. But I thought that them writing off Rick's character to maybe come back to down the line gave people a lot of hope, and there were so many interesting storylines that you could have created with the helicopter picking up Rick and flying away, because Rick sees the helicopter so many times throughout the show. I thought that was a very creative way of doing it. Then Michonne ended up leaving the show to go look for Rick, and I was very excited to see how that would work out and what that would do. Now, whether you want to say Andy Lincoln left to go hang out with his family, which is what he said, or he wanted to leave the show because the writing clearly went downhill, I'm open to whatever debate you want to say. But the point is that they announced that after Andrew Lincoln left the show, that they were going to do Rick Grimes movies. That never happened. The regular season of the show ended, whether it was because of the writer's strike or COVID, or they couldn't get the scripts together, this, that, the other. They came up with the idea, okay, we're just going to do a little spin-off show called The Ones Who Live, and then this will focus on what happens to Rick, where Michonne is finding Rick, as well, in addition to releasing other spin-off shows like Dead City with Negan and Maggie, and Daryl Dixon, where Daryl is dicking around in France. Sorry, I just slapped my microphone. Was that loud? Now, everybody had their own opinions that the regular show ended up ending, and then they announced like all these different spin-offs that really was their way of keeping the show going. So it wasn't really like the mainline show was ending in any capacity. It just kind of felt like they were branching out with the more main characters, creating something, and everybody has their opinions of it. Dead City with Negan and Maggie, of course, came out first. It wasn't great. Then Daryl Dixon came out with him dicking around in Paris. That wasn't phenomenal either. But clearly the main event, the special attraction, was this The Ones Who Live show, because I feel like the majority of the Walking Dead audience is more interested in this. What happened to Rick? Where's Michonne? But really, what happened to Rick? Michonne's awesome. I love her character, and I love that she went to go look for her husband, and they were creating this love story, and they were hyping it up as that. But I just wanted to see what the hell was going on with the CRM and how Rick has ended up there, and I think a lot of people are in that same boat. So anyway, the first episode of The Ones Who Live come out, and right off the bat, in episode 1, you get to see Rick Grimes, where he's been, how he's trapped in the CRM, what situation he's in. And you would think that they would have followed a route where throughout the show it would be Michonne and Rick separated and eventually would come together by the end of it to overcome a final problem, which was everybody's kind of nerves about, but I think everybody was excited about what happened to Rick. My mainline nerves was going into this was I wasn't very confident in the Dead City show. I wasn't very confident in the Daryl Dixon show, and I was a little nervous about how this was going to go down because it was such important to the mainline series. And now we're at the point where we know that all these side shows, now that the Daryl Dixon show is getting a Carol, spin-off season 2, and the Negan show is probably going to get a season 2, and it seems like all these spin-off shows are going to come together for one final show that will end the Walking Dead universe. It feels like we're in the end game now. This is the beginning of the end. So there wasn't a lot of confidence from my side going into The Ones Who Lived right off the bat, but I still had this excitement because something in my heart felt like they were going to do it justice as far as announcing or showing what happened to Rick, because we all know Rick as a character would die to get back to his family. And the hype was reinvigorated at the end of the regular Walking Dead show, where they kind of showed him trying to escape, but a helicopter chasing him down. He's in a CRM jacket, and he doesn't have his boots anymore, and he's across the city, and it just, what a wonderful way to hype it up. And really, I thought it was a good way to end the Walking Dead show also as well. So anyways, here it is. It's The Ones Who Live. It's episode 1. It's why we're excited. The first appearance of the show, the what's the word I'm looking for? The first impression of it. What happened to Rick? Why is he in the CRM? Why can't he get away? And I was so nervous because there had to be so much involved in that. But they were able to do it beautifully, where they were able to put it all into one episode. Episode 1 of The Ones Who Lived, why Rick is in the CRM, why he can't get away from the CRM, where his mental state is at, who is the force keeping him here, what has Rick been up to all these years, what is Jadis's role in some capacity in this, and they take it really kind of 1 year at a time, where Rick is trying to get away. He ends up cutting off his arm or his hand, which is brilliantly done. Finally giving the fans what they wanted with that for years, because Rick doesn't have his arm or his hand in the comics, and he ended up actually cutting it off here. And then over time throughout that episode, you kind of get Rick's mental state of why he's never returned home, because the CRM has literally kept him here and he cannot get away, and he has tried and tried and tried, and he is just mentally destroyed to the point wherever you see Rick Grimes, contemplating, ending his own life. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And then you get at the end of the episode, Rick is finally, broken to the point where he realizes he'll never escape, and this is his way to be alive now, is that he has to let go of the past because he'll never get back, and he is so broken as a man, realizing that he'll never get back, and just trying to fulfill Okafor's mission, and maybe that will keep his family safe in some capacity, but really this is just the only way he can stay alive now because he doesn't really have another choice. Rick's helicopter is attacked, Okafor is killed, you find out Michonne did it, and so brilliantly they were able to get Rick and Michonne back together within the first episode. Loved it. Second episode comes around, you figure out what happened to Michonne. She's with this group that travel all the time, that never stop moving. She meets Nat. Nat is a really awesome side character. You'll love him. He's very jokey and witty, but very smart and clever. The CRM attacks them. You figure out that the CRM they kill innocent people. Michonne, a year of her life gets taken away as she tries to recover, quickly, trying to hold on to hope that she'll never see Rick again or whatever it is, but realizing that she's going to try and get some revenge on these helicopters, and then the helicopter she gets revenge on happens to be Rick's helicopter. I don't care that really, what are the chances of that happening? I still think it's awesome, and I love it. Matt unfortunately passes away, which you hate to see, but you get into the point where now it's Rick and Michonne stuck in the CRM, episode 3. You took 2 episodes figuring out where they've been, how they get together. Now episode 3, they're together. And you have 3, 4, 5, and 6 where they're going to be together. That was something that we never expected. The reunion between Rick and Michonne in episode 3 was, Andrew Lincoln, take a bow.
Danai Gurira.
And then the actor who plays Michonne, I'm really bad at pronouncing her name. I believe it's Danai, though. Phenomenal. Again, both these actors are great. So you have the reunion, and Rick is Michonne is being careful not to tell Rick what everything is happening at home, and the new son that he has, and because she wants him to hold on to that to try and get away. And throughout this episode, they go through a plan where Rick finds a way to get Michonne out, and then Michonne at the end of the episode, because they're escaping a building that's about to collapse on them. And I understand. And then I was bashed on Twitter from all the Michonne dorks saying oh my God, it's a love story. What do you do with your significant? I get it. I understand it's a love story. I'm just saying I understand. I'm in. I'm all in. I'm here. I'm watching the show. I'm all in on that notion. I just don't. There's a time and a place, and you're gonna die if you don't get out. So that was my idea. You're going to die if you don't get out of this building. Maybe making out in the elevator and on the car and blah blah. I think it's just a little weird. I understand it. I get it. I get it's a love story. I just think you're gonna die if you don't leave. So maybe wait until you get away. That's just my idea. But episode 4 was written by Danai, and brilliant. The actors brilliant, and I killed it. Andrew Lincoln in episode 4, especially at the end of the scene where he is saying he's been at the CRM for so long, he's not been able to escape for so long that he forgot Carl's face. He doesn't know what Carl's face looks like anymore, and they just faded away over time. Dude, chef's kiss acting, brilliant, absolutely loved it. Michonne being able to convince Rick and remind Rick of Carl's face and what Carl would have wanted, and I think that's so awesome that they were able to bring that back, because for me personally, The Walking Dead should have ended with I think this is how the new show will end, is with the Rick statue, and Judith will be, they'll kind of adapt it similar how they did it in the comics, but I think the leader of everything should have been Carl. I think it's just kind of upsetting that he ended up dying, but I think that they played on that very well, that Carl's death and him not being able to remember Carl, and that's what the CRM took from him, in his opinion. And why he's so broken and upset is because he can't remember Carl and Michonne being able to remind him, and then them being able to get away. And I thought that episode 4 brilliantly was done, and now episode 5 you're leaning into them escaping. This is kind of like their honeymoon of their second wedding, and I like how that was approached too. However, episode 5 is probably my least favorite out of all the episodes. I like all the Rick and Michonne stuff. I like them coming back together. I thought the choreography of the fights was a little bit weird. I like how Rick and Michonne are able to deal with other survivors, because I like how throughout the show they keep saying that Rick and Michonne together can literally accomplish anything that they want, and they're that powerful. I really love that, and whenever they come like gunpoint with somebody else, there's no nerves or fear. They just kind of take care of it like that. What I didn't like about episode 5, I thought the choreography was just a little bit weird, and I also did not like bringing in Jadis just to kill her. If everything was kind of adding up to where it needed to be, where there's going to be one last show, and I kind of expected it that it was going to be like the group of Alexandria versus, the CRM. I kind of wanted Jadis to be the leader of that group, or of the CRM coming to attack Alexandria. I thought that would have been done very well, but I thought that, I thought this whole, like, them fighting the entire episode and the choreography of it all was just kind of a little bit messy, in my opinion, and Jadis dying was not the writing choice that I would have done, but I mean, it is what it is. Now you're in the season finale, which chef's kiss, got us right back on track. Absolutely loved it. Was them going back to the CRM to destroy Jadis's evidence. Rick and Michonne find out that the CRM want to destroy the other portion of the CRM and then go around and take all the children from other groups and civilizations and destroy them they want to burn everything down to create a new. And the other mistake that I didn't like was having Rick and Michonne destroy the CRM. Destroying this part of the CRM I'm cool with. Killing that main Beale guy I'm cool with, because we didn't know him really that much. That's why I would have thought Rick kills that guy, Jadis takes over. That's how I would have done it. But by the end of episode 6, you kind of figure out that it seems like that entire portion of the CRM is destroyed, and there's not really any more threat from the CRM anymore. Which leads me to believe, what are they going to do in this new show that they're clearly building towards? I'm not, super stoked about that, but it was cool. Choreography was sick. The destruction was cool, and them getting out of there was really cool. And the episode as an entire part leading up to the destruction was done really well, in my opinion. And then you get to the end of episode 6. I believe there were 6 episodes, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I got that right. But you get to the end of the final episode, and Rick and Michonne find their way home. You figure out that the CRM is now dedicated to helping civilizations and bringing them in, which I guess that whole storyline is now dead, which in my opinion was not the way that I would have gone. But I guess we'll figure out what they do for the new show. Rick and Michonne end up getting home. Judith and RJ come out, and they have a really great reunion scene where Rick says he sees Judith and he sees RJ, and everybody's memeing RJ because of that absolutely terrible acting, and I cannot agree more. Kind of ruined that scene a little bit, but the Rick and Judith thing was cool. And then that's how The Ones That Lived ended. What did I like about The Ones That Lived? I like how you brought back Andrew Lincoln. We missed Andrew Lincoln and Rick. I love that the connection that Rick and Michonne have, and how powerful this group is. I love that Rick gets home by the end of the episode, or by the end of the series. But more importantly, above all else, I like that it has this new feel, this new style, this new directorial style, and this new sense of writing that feels like a revival, a refresher of the show. And that's why I think that The Ones That Live was the best thing that we've seen from The Walking Dead in so long. I think that all of this is going to end up leading into a Walking Dead show called The Walking Dead: The New World that will focus on Rick being back in the group of Alexandria and having this Avengers level thing where it's Rick, Negan, Daryl, Carol, and all the original characters. Either going on a new adventure, which I didn't think that they were going to do, or kind of defending their home against the CRM, or maybe overtaking the CRM, or whatever it will be. I just did not think that they were going to destroy the CRM, at least as a threat in The Ones Who Live. That was the decision that I personally wasn't a fan of. But I'm very, very, very excited for the Ones That Live show, which is more than I can say about the original ending of the original show. I was interested, but I wasn't excited because I fell off of being a super fan long before the show ended, but The Ones Who Live was done so brilliantly that it brought me back. And I'm very excited to see what they do with The Ones Who Live, or with the new show, whether it's The Ones Who Live Season 2 or it's just the New World show in its entirety. But I'm very, very excited, and I think that The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, in this series review, did a great job at reviving a classic. So yeah. I know this is a bit of a longer one, big series review, so it's a lot to talk about, but hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Not Forever Talking, of Ian Talks, where we sit here and talk movies and comics and TV shows and video games and music and shit. I kind of want to do live streams of me reacting to new music, or maybe we're watching shows or whatever it is. Like the new J. Cole album came out last night, and oh my god, I haven't got a chance to listen to it in its entirety, but I'm very excited to listen to it. But yeah, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. And subscribe to the page, like this post, leave a comment, listen to the new song Faith, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Peace, love, adios, bye-bye.